I want to share this. I'm really excited to bring this this topic to the table today with you, and I'm really excited to be able to do it in this more intimate manner. Right? Obviously, you guys can see me. I can't see you, but I can see your comments, and so we get a little bit of interactivity and connection and such here in the call, which is really exciting for me because this is a topic that has become a really big focus for me right now in my business. And what I want to share with you is that the word leadership, the idea of talking about leadership, the idea of exploring leadership, and the idea of really seeing where and how leadership fits in for you and your business. This is something that 6 to 8 months ago, I wasn't even paying attention to, quite honestly. 6 to 8 months ago, when various things started popping up, conversations I was having with people and such around leadership. So, and it kind of, at first for me was like, oh, leadership, whatever. Didn't really think much of it, wasn't a word I felt all that connected to. But then over time, and just as I started to explore this more purposely, not only for myself and my own business, but also with various clients and colleagues and my team and everything as well, it was like a light bulb moment happened for me. And that light bulb was, wait a minute, leadership fits in everything, in everything. And for you, as a woman, for you as a woman in business, whether you're just getting started or even if you're a little further along, regardless of where you're at, leadership matters. And I really want to bring a challenge to you today, if I may. Not a hardcore, punch you in the face kind of challenge by any means, but I want you to, through what I want to share today and some of the stuff I want to bring to the table, is for you to really be able to take and consider where and how does this apply to me? Where and how do I need to step up to become a better leader? Now, again, we're talking really specifically from the place that this applies to you in your business, right? We're talking to you as a woman entrepreneur, but of course there's a side note here that leadership can fit into all areas of life. You have to tell you, as much as I talk about and think about leadership in my business right now, you better believe I'm thinking about it with my girls and with parenting, and it can fit in so many different ways. So keeping that kind of as a side note is part of this, but really I want to look and see where and how, and invite you to explore and maybe even dig a little, sit with, be with what leadership means for you and your business and what it means for you in your life. I want you to walk away with some food for thought and or some answers today as to what is your next level of leadership. Now we're going to dig into this pretty specifically today. We're going to look at the 3 key areas of leadership as they apply to your business. And you guys know me, you got to be practical. At the end of the day, I want to give you some things that you can really, truly take and use, because otherwise we're just talking, right? There needs to be some stuff that you can take and use and apply from this. But I want you to really consider this. What is leadership? What is leadership for me? And why do I want to do this call right now, too? I'm sure all of you have heard that comment from the Dalai Lama that was back, I believe, in 2009 at a peace summit or something, where he talked about the idea that the world will be saved by the Western woman. And I have seen this comment, I have seen this quote floating around through the ethers. I guess it would be probably close to 5 years now since that was first shared. And it's fascinating to me because when I first heard that, there's a little ping inside me. And, if you're here today on this call, if you've decided, or on this session, if you've decided to join us here, or if you're listening in later after the fact, I'm guessing that there's a ping for you too when you think about that. There's a ping when we think about this idea of, as women, stepping into leadership in various ways. There's something to that. It might not even be all that definable for you yet. It might not be something you're clear on or that you've even thought about in depth, or you may be very purposeful and continuing to grow and expand yourself in leadership. I do believe that women in leadership, and those of us in particular here today, gathered in leadership of our businesses, of our clients, of our teams, that we are here to make a difference. We are here to impact change. And change does not happen without leadership. And so leadership, I want to start with kind of defining what leadership is, and even more importantly, what leadership is not, because this is a word that I believe gets really misunderstood in the world. Well, not even misunderstood as much as everybody's kind of got their own version of what leadership is and what leadership isn't. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I have the answer. I've got the answer, this is it, sort of thing. I have my answer to a degree, and quite honestly, I've been exploring my answer and my definition over the past number of months, and will continue to do so very purposely in this area. But when we're looking at leadership, I think it's important to kind of consider this idea of what is leadership not? What isn't leadership? And looking at some of the, almost like these old school ideas of leadership. First and foremost, leadership is not a title. It's not a job description. It's not a role. It's not something that's bestowed upon someone. It's easy to think of, there's obviously people in positions of leadership, right? Very clearly and purposely. They may have the role of being a CEO or a manager or a leader or a president or whatever it is. There is a title associated to a degree that comes into play here. But actually being a leader is so much more about a choice than it is about a title. It's about a choice more so than it is about a title. It's not about being the best or going out and getting accolades and getting, getting the recognition and the pat on the back. It's not about ego. Many people can be driven by ego. I think ego can come into play with leadership, but true leadership does not come from ego. It doesn't come from ego. It can't come from ego, right? Because ego is all about us. Ego is all about what's in it for me. What is this? How does this apply to me? How does this help me? How does this move me forward, etc. Leadership is so much more about what's in it for them, which we'll talk about here in a moment as well. Leadership's also not just like telling people what to do. You need to do this, or you need to do that, or whatever that might be. Leadership is not kind of like shaking the finger at somebody. I mean, basically, I was doing that when I was saying it already, right? It's like, it's not about being above someone and kind of looking down and all of that kind of stuff. Now, these are sort of old school versions of leadership in my mind. There's that old school, there's a very masculine feel to that. And part of what I want to talk about today, I just want to be clear with this, when I talk about these ideas of masculine versus feminine and comparisons and such too that come up from time to time, it's not about men versus women, because all of us have masculine and feminine energy within us. It's kind of like these approaches, there's these very old school masculine approaches to leadership, to business, and I believe that's the heart of what that quote is about that the Dalai Lama shared back in 2009, where it's very much this idea of the Western woman will save the world. The Western woman will save the world, because we're coming into this from a bit of a different perspective. We get to bring some things to the table of who we are and what makes us great at what we do in various ways. So leadership is not certain things. So what is it? What is leadership actually? I just want to do a sound check and make sure that we are still on live and loud and clear. Sorry, you guys, I see a lot of comments and chats about stuff, so I just want to make sure that you guys are still able to hear me. I know in some cases it might be your computer, but I still need to keep an eye on that. Awesome. Okay, good. Sorry for the little interruption there. What is leadership? What is leadership then? If it's not a title, if it's not, bestowed upon us, if it's not about a position of authority and all of that kind of stuff, then what is it? I think leadership, my version of leadership, is that we are operating from the best of who we are. That we are clear on how we are meant to serve in the world. We are clear on what that would look like. We get to make decisions. There's some stuff I'll talk about here a little bit later that fit into this. But it's really this idea of operating from the best of who we are. When you are in business, when you are as a woman entrepreneur, and you're operating from the best of who you are, and that you keep that sacred and you make that part of what you aim to bring to the table each and every day, then that's leadership. Leadership is being of service. It's focusing on other people first. And true leadership is really being able to almost set aside our own wants. Not that we totally do that. I'm not talking about extremes, because there can be a level of that goes too far. But leadership is asking first, how can I serve? How can I serve these clients of mine? How can I serve this team of mine? How can I serve the world at large in different ways as it applies to who I am and my vision and what I want to create and bring to the table? That is leadership. It's asking that question first before asking what's in it for me. That's what service is. Leadership is also taking a risk. Now, this is the part that I think is really scary for a lot of people. When you decide to step out as a leader, when you decide to say, here's who I am, here's what I want to bring to the table, here's how I can serve you, here's what I'm brilliant at, here's what I'm amazing about, here's what makes me me. When you're willing to step out with that, when you're willing to be 100% authentic around it, when you're willing to put yourself out there, there's a risk involved in that. There is a risk involved in that. And this is something I really want to acknowledge, because this is a biggie. This is a biggie. This has always been a big one for me, and I believe this is a big one for women in general, too, is that there's a part of us, I know for me personally, anytime I've kind of put myself out there or thought about putting myself out there in different stages of my business and life, there's always been that piece of me that's like, oh, who am I to do this? You know, am I the best person to do this? Should I not? What are people going to think of me? You know, what if they don't like what I put out there, who I am, what I have to offer? Being a leader is a risk. Being a leader is being seen. Being a leader is stepping out from behind a curtain. Being a leader is being willing to say, here's what I believe in, here's what I know is possible, here's what I know is true. And then looking for ways to help other people through that lens of leadership. But it ain't easy. I don't think there's anything about leadership that's easy. And it's really interesting. I was talking with someone earlier today about leadership and the idea that there's many notable figures throughout time, right? There's many notable figures in history, and I'm sure in today's day and age as well, where they are, you know, they've been called forward, if you will, in some ways to take a position of leadership, and it's been like, why me? Why do I have to do this? Can't somebody else do it better? Couldn't this be for someone else? Why does it have to be me? You know, leadership is a risk. Leadership is also a responsibility. And there's a responsibility to bring the best of who you are to the table. You can't step out and say, here's what I stand for, here's who I am, here's the impact I want to have on the world, and then let everything fall apart around you. I could, you know, we're looking at our tech issues we had here today, right? It's like, listen, what was it, like 20 minutes late getting started? I mean, that's a chunk of tech issues. But I'm here, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. Doesn't matter if it's the prime circumstances or not. Doesn't matter if it's ideal or not. You know, responsibility, and we'll talk about this a little later in today's call too, but responsibility really comes into play with, it's a two-way street. Leadership is not just, all right, I've given this to you, go do whatever you want with it, I don't care, it's not my problem anymore. Leadership is, all right, let's work together to make something happen. And that is a responsibility. That is a responsibility. It's not something to take lightly. It's not something to take lightly. And I don't say that to scare you off, per se, although it can be scary, really. It can be scary. I don't think this is for the faint of heart. I really don't. I really don't. And so I want to break down a little bit of what I call kind of there's sort of these three key areas of leadership that are really important. I'm going to show you guys a quick little diagram here. Really quick on this, if I can make that work. Let's test my screen sharing abilities in this moment. Awesome. So there's three key areas of your business where leadership applies. There's you, there's your clients, and there's your team. And when I think about leadership from the perspective of your when I think about leadership from the perspective of how it applies to you as a woman in business, these are the 3 key areas that I want you to really explore and start to consider. These are the 3 key areas that leadership can literally make or break you, quite honestly. Make or break not only you as an individual, but your business, your livelihood, your impact, your success, financial or otherwise. Leadership is a big deal in that regard. So I want to dive into each of these areas a little bit and share with you kind of some thoughts, some ideas, some tactics, if you will, that you can take and apply here. But first I want to ask you this question, because I actually find this really fascinating. When I say to you that there is a leader in everyone, what comes up for you? Is that a statement that you agree with or not? There is a leader in everyone. Is that true? I would say when I used to look at leadership from that old school perspective, then my answer would have been, well, no. Not everybody's a leader. Not everybody's going to be the president of the United States, right? Not everybody's going to be the best of the best out there. Not everybody can be the best. You can be your best. You can't be the best. Not everybody can fill that role. You know, there's only so many positions, so many titles and such available. From an old school perspective, that statement's not true. But when we're looking at this from the place of there's a leader in everyone, and you in business for yourself, you are a leader. The moment that you decided to step out and take the risk of starting your business and creating your livelihood, you instantly became a leader in that moment. You actually had to be a leader to make that decision in the first place. You became a leader in that moment because you made a decision to step out, to take a risk, to take a stand on something. Now, I want to be really clear here, and this is a piece that I find so fascinating. This is not about you having to go out and change the world. I mean, I don't know about you, but changing the world sounds friggin' exhausting to me at the end of the day. Like, who wants the weight on their shoulders of I need to go out and change the world? Do I want to see change in the world? Absolutely, yes, right? I get that from a bigger picture perspective. But each of us individually, when we make the choice to say, hey, here's what I'm good at, here's what I believe is important, here's what I know to have value, and I want to go out and serve people with this. That is being a leader. That's being a leader in that moment. And so this piece of leading ourselves first and foremost, is we need to look at who are we meant to serve and what are we meant to bring to the table for them. This is looking at, you know, one of the things we're going to be teaching in our leadership retreat too. I'll let you guys know a little bit more about that later if you haven't heard about it already. But we're doing a leadership retreat in Banff in June, which I'm excited about. First time we've done this. But one of the things we're going to be focusing on and spending a lot of time on is what I call embracing your brilliance. You cannot actually be an effective leader until you embrace your brilliance, until you get 100% crystal clear on your talents, your gifts, what you're great at, your strengths, your purpose, your mission, etc. Whatever the words are that you want to use. You know, each of us comes to the table, each of us comes into this world with something that we're amazing at. And part of leadership, the very first part of leadership, is that you need to be able to see and know what that thing is. And you need to be able to accept it in yourself and stop wishing that it was something else. Stop wondering if that's what it is or not. Stop waiting for someone to say, yeah, go ahead and do that. Stop, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda all over it, if that's what it is. You know, sometimes I find, some of you may be in this space already where you really know what this is, right? And that's awesome. I love that. Some of you may still be dancing around in it, feeling a little uncertain about it. Some of you may be in a space where I did know what it was, but now I think it's shifting and changing, which does also happen as well. That's a natural part of growth and evolution. But the key is you need to know first, like, what am I friggin' amazing at? What can I bring to the table? And this comes into play with that idea of you don't have to be the best. You do not have to be the best out there. You have to be your best for who you're meant to serve. Now, yes, some people have pretty big visions. They have pretty big missions. They have pretty big callings in life where they are meant to lead huge communities, to lead countries, to lead big companies, to lead, communities, all kinds of stuff, right? There's some people with some pretty big missions and callings and such out there. But at the end of the day, every person that you serve in your business, even if you are a virtual assistant and you do customer service and administrative stuff and you take care of your clients at the highest level possible, that is being a leader in what you do and what you do best. That's affecting change for the people that you work with. Every person counts. Every person counts. If you're a graphic designer and you do amazing graphics work, Delane, who's done my design for years now, I consider Delane to be a leader in graphic design because you better believe she leads me and the work and such she's done for us over the years. And then, of course, some of you may come in, you may be coaches, you may be speakers, authors, trainers. Those are more obvious leadership types of businesses and callings because you're quite often literally on a stage or literally in front of a group of people or literally kind of stepping out and stepping forward in some way, shape, or form. Of course, you want to need to be a leader in that perspective as well. I invite you, though, to consider, first and foremost, what is it that you're brilliant at? And if you don't know yet, it's okay to not be 100% clear. I want to give you a couple of things to play with, a couple of questions. Actually, I'll pop these up on the screen here too for you with this, because I think that here we go. There's a couple of things sometimes that you need to play around with in this and that you might need to ask yourself in order to really land on these. There's also great exercises and assessments and tools and stuff like that that can really help you discover some of these things too. Okay, maybe I can't show you what I wanted to show you because I think it disappeared. So I won't worry too much about that. I'll just share it with you verbally. Oh, there it is. Yay. A couple of questions for you. And this is ultimately about committing to a vision too, right? Because once you're clear on who you are meant to serve and how you're meant to serve them, then you get to create a vision from that. You get to create a vision from that. And a vision is simply saying, it's being able to paint a picture of here's the impact that I want to have on the world. Here's what I want this to look like. And it's also being able to express it in a way that it's very clear to see whether or not you've reached it, whether or not you are there. And so to commit to a vision, if you're playing around with a vision, and there's lots of exercises and such we can do in this area, which are great fun, but it's sort of asking yourself some key questions. What impact do you want to have in the world? What change do you want to see happen for the people that you lead? What do you want to be known for? I love that question. What do you want to be known for? And again, I'm not saying this has to be headline news type of being known for. What do you want to be known for in your community, in your network, with your colleagues, with your clients? What do you want to be known for? What do you want people to say about you? Similar to the other question, of course, but what do you want people to say about you? Another thing that's kind of an interesting side door to playing with vision and really getting clear here is, and one of my favorite questions, quite honestly, is what annoys you? What annoys you? Sometimes knowing and seeing and feeling and actually recognizing that certain things out there annoy us, I believe, can be great indicators of where and how we're meant to serve. They really, really can. They can be great indicators of where and how you're meant to serve. So pay attention to some of that stuff if this is an area that you're playing in, right? And ultimately, now here's something else I want to throw out there, and I will tell you, when we talk about what annoys you, this is what annoys me. And this is a piece right now that really, really annoys me in the business world. And that is the idea that your vision, your impact, what you want to do, how you want to serve, what you want to bring to the table, that beautiful, amazing vision that you have has to also be based, when you're in business, it has to also be connected to a strong business model. Vision, business model. They have to go hand in hand. It breaks my heart beyond belief when I see people who are amazingly talented, amazingly gifted, who have a real purpose and a passion for what they want to do, and who they want to work with, and what they want to create, and how they want to serve, and they're going out there with a broken business model. They're going out there and trying to build something in a way that, quite honestly, is not going to work. It's not going to work for them. I believe that this is part of my mission right here, right now. This is absolutely what my own personal vision is right here, right now in the world, is to empower women. My vision is to empower women to create their own livelihood, to embrace their brilliance, and to base it on a strong, proven business model so that you can make a great living with this and that you truly can serve your clients and have an impact. If you have the best, most amazing vision, mission, calling, etc. in the world, and you're not making money with it, then it's not a business. It's not a business. Now, that being said, you may be surprised how even certain shifts, tweaks, changes, etc. can allow you to take whatever this vision is and turn it into a business. Now, that being said, too, quite honestly, there's sometimes that people have a vision or a mission or an idea that should not even be a business. It might be something else. It might be something else. But if you find yourself, if you're a person where you feel you're really strongly connected to a vision, a mission, or a purpose, but you're not making, you just can't make it work, or you're not connecting, or people aren't buying, or whatever that is, right? There's something to consider in this. It needs to be attached to a strong, proven business model. If it's not, then you're truly not leading at the level that you could be. And so it's food for thought. Vision, business model, they need to go together. They absolutely need to go together. I want to share with you guys what I call a leadership tool as it applies to this piece too. So the U piece, right? The U piece. And this is a tool to have in your tool belt as a leader. You need to be able to make a decision. You need to be able to make a decision. If you can't make a decision, you are not going to be able to move forward. You are not going to be able to have the impact that you want to have. Now, the word decision, there's the root of it from like Middle English. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that word, that Latin word. But what's really fascinating about the word decide is that it comes from a word that means to cut off. The word decide means to cut off. So think about this. What is a decision? A decision is not an idea. A decision is not a wish. A decision is not, wouldn't it be nice if, or I think I'll dip my toe in and try and see what happens, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, oh well. You know, a decision is not dabbling. A decision literally means, this is what I'm doing, I am moving forward. I will do whatever it takes to move forward. When a decision is made, and I believe very purposely, and regardless of spiritual or religious beliefs, I know this to be true. I've seen it time and time again for myself, for my clients, for my colleagues over the years. When a true decision is made, then the universe, so to speak, conspires to support that for you. God conspires to bring that together for you. But it's not going to happen until a decision is made. And so the idea of considering this for you, and the reason why I bring this up today, is that I find a lot of people, when a lot of times if and where you're stuck, you're clear on a vision, you know what you want to create, you know you want to move forward, and it's not coming together for some reason. It's usually because you need to make a decision about something that scares you in this moment. You need to make a decision about something that scares you in this moment. And any good decision should scare you, quite honestly. There should be a little bit of eek, yikes, I don't know, ooh, who am I? You know, some of that kind of stuff that comes up around this. And in order to be a leader, you need to know how to make a decision. So here's the thing, too, not only from the big picture perspective of where am I headed? What is the vision of this company? What are our goals? What do we want to create? Those are big picture decisions. And absolutely, you need to be able to make those. They're very, very important. I'm talking about even day-to-day decisions. We had tech difficulties with this session here today. I could have very easily made the decision and said, forget it. we're not going to do it today. Let's reschedule and try it again another day. Like, no, you know what? We'll figure this out. Tiffany and I madly behind the scenes. What's going on? Let's figure this thing out. Woohoo! That was a decision. We made the decision. We found a way. So what, where in your business have you not made a decision yet? Now, the idea to cut off means that once you've made the decision, there are no other options available to you. Once you've made the decision, there is no going back. There's no wavering. There's no back and forth. There's no maybe, coulda, shoulda, woulda, could I, maybe, I don't know, yeah. There's no, I don't feel like it today. It's more like, no, this is a decision. I don't care if I feel like it or not. I'm moving forward. That needs to happen. And that's a very masculine energy, right? A very masculine energy. Make a decision and move forward. So, so important. I want to also touch on a little bit this idea of how men and women lead differently. Now, this is, and not to get into this in any great big way, because I'm sure in some ways we could probably talk about this piece alone for like hours, right? And I'm no expert in this either. I'm no expert in this area, and I'm not going to claim to be, so to speak. But there's some key distinctions that I find really fascinating here. Really fascinating here as to how men and women lead differently. And I want to start by saying a statement that the first time I heard it, it rubbed me the wrong way. Kind of pissed me off a little bit, quite honestly. But I will tell you, in all of the reading that I have been doing lately, I have seen this come up time and time again as a little bit of a theme. And that is the idea of one of the key distinctions between men and women when it comes to leadership, is that women wait to be asked to lead, whereas men just go for it. Now, what comes up for you when I say that? For me, the first time it was a little bit like, what are you talking about? Don't give me that. That's so untrue, blah, blah, etc. Right? But then I thought about it a moment and thought, wait a minute. What's behind this? What's behind that statement? Why am I seeing this come up time and time again? In books I'm reading, in articles and conversations and such that I've been having, why am I seeing that come up time and time again? And I actually believe that the reason where that is true, the place where that is true, is when we are coming from a place of the feminine energy, of being women, and being very, very collaborative, as opposed to being competitive or authoritative. Competitive, authority, do it this way, that way, etc. That's a very masculine energy. As women, we are naturally wired to be collaborative. We are naturally wired to be nurturers. We are naturally wired to be connected. And because that's who we are and because that's how we're wired, when we are considering or are presenting an opportunity, or we have an idea, or we have something, a calling, something that we feel like we may want to step into in a position of leadership, then for us it's very natural to ask ourselves, could I? Should I? Would I? How is this going to impact people around me? What are other people going to think about me? Now, here's the thing. There's, like anything out there, there's a dark and a light side to that, right? We can very much let ourselves get stopped there. We can very much say, who am I to do that? There's no way. I'm not good enough. I'm not ready for it yet. I don't know, so-and-so is out there, they're doing something similar, let them do it, they're fine, they're better than me anyhow. There's all these things that can come up from that place that can stop us dead in our tracks. But I actually believe that the collaborative nature of women is the heart of what makes us amazing leaders. Because we consider the people around us. Because we consider the impact. And when I hear this idea of like, oh, well, women wait to ask to be lead, whereas men will just step up and do it anyhow. That's sort of like a scenario. That's like a looking at something from the outside in. Whereas I think what really goes on there for some of us is like, okay, I need to really see this. I need to own it. There can be a lot of deep personal stuff that comes into play sometimes too. But I will tell you guys, when I was reading this and when I really thought about it, it is bang on true for me to say that a lot of times when I'm working with a coach, A lot of times when I am part of a mastermind group or I'm having conversations with colleagues and people about ideas and things that I have and that I want to do and that I'm playing with and what I'm exploring, part of what's actually going on there is a piece of me saying, hey, is this something to go for? Is this worthwhile? Should I go for this? Should I not? You know, I've always said for me personally, when it comes to working with a coach and what I look for in a coach, is somebody who can see more for me than I can see for myself. And when I work with somebody who can see more for me than what I can see for myself, then it allows me to step up to be a leader. It allows me to make a decision to step up and be a leader. Because we are collaborative, because we want and need feedback, and because, quite honestly, sometimes we need a bit more of that in the earlier stages, because we're just learning, figuring it out as we go, and it can feel scary and it can feel hard. We need to be connected to each other in order to lead. This is the key difference, I believe, between men and women when it comes to leadership. We need to be connected to each other in order to lead. It is collaboration, not competition, right? And again, not to say that men don't need this either, don't get me wrong, right? It applies on both sides. But as women, we need this. We need this connection to each other. And I will tell you here too, I mean, if there's any part of you that's sitting here waiting for, I just need somebody to say, yes, go for it, this is great. You better believe I'm more than happy to do that for you, as long as it has a good business model. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to just, what do they say, blow sunshine, where, to make you feel good about an idea, right? I mean, my perspective is always, I want to hear what you're all about. I want to hear who you are and see what that is. And let's look and see how that fits into you creating the best work and bringing the best of who you are to the table in your business. And if you're looking and waiting for somebody to help you with that piece, then it's up to you to go and get the support, right? It's up to you to make sure that you're plugged into a community, into a coach, with colleagues, whatever it is, right? But these need to be people who can see more for you than you can see for yourself. And I believe when we put ourselves in that space to be vulnerable enough and to say, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, all right, maybe, I don't know. I would not be sitting here talking to you today in the scope of doing this live stream, this webinar together, if it wasn't for some of the leadership work and the conversations and such that I've been having with my coach, my coaches, my colleagues, my friends, my team members in the past few months. And you better believe a big part of why I'm sitting here, right now, is because I've had these conversations and because I've received feedback that's like, yes, this is great. All right, let's see what we can create together here. Let's see what's going to come from this. Let's see what this is going to be. So if there's any part of you that's sitting back waiting to be asked to lead, that's really wanting but waiting for that permission, waiting for somebody to say yes, now is the time, right? Now is the time. You need to be willing to put yourself in a space to allow to receive that answer, to receive that information. Amazingly powerful stuff. Amazingly powerful stuff. I'm going to mention, we have a couple more areas I want to cover, of course, with you here today, but I want to just take a little side note here and talk to you guys about our leadership retreat. And given the timing and all of that of how late we got started, I know a few of you might need to jump off here. But we are doing a leadership retreat, a women's leadership retreat in Banff this June. And this is something that, a couple of months ago, we weren't planning on doing this. It might have been a month ago, honestly. And this is really the purpose of this retreat and why we wanted to do this. And what I'm really beyond excited about is this leadership retreat is an opportunity for you to step into and own and embrace the leader that you are right now and the next level of leadership that you need to bring to the table. And of course, we're coming at it from a very purposeful perspective of what is that going to mean for you and your business? How do you actually take and use this information? When I read about leadership or I hear about leadership, there's a lot of theory, a lot of ideas, a lot of stuff out there around this, but it's really important to make sure you can take it and turn it into something useful. It's like, great, that's great. How do I apply it to my business? What is that going to look like? How do I apply it to the way I work with my team? How do I apply it to the way that I work with my clients? We're going to talk more about that in a moment. But I want to invite you and really, almost open the door for you to step into another level of leadership and to do it with us if you're interested in that. If you're interested in that. Now, Banff, if you're not familiar with Banff, I think I have a quick photo here actually. It is, I believe, one of the most amazing places on earth. Somebody told me not too long ago that one of the things, Banff is known as a, what do they call it, like a truth-telling place. That when you're in Banff, the truth will always come out, which I think is kind of fascinating. I don't think this is showing up on the screen very well, so I'll come back to this. Yeah, it's like when you're in Banff, the truth comes out. And I will tell you, we've done retreats there, and we're already doing retreats with our clients in our mentorship programs, our mastermind programs in Banff. Originally, this was going to be just strictly for our clients. But based on this work that I've been doing, based on the conversations I'm having with so many of you, we very purposely opened this up to be for you as well. For those of you as well who feel called to this journey right now. And when we get to come together in this way, and we are in those truth-telling mountains, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, in the past, we have had huge, amazing shifts that happen with our clients and that happen with the people who join us there. And I believe that that is as much the power of the mountains as it is the power of the community, the power of intent, the power of everybody coming together. There's a very purposeful reason why we do these retreats, why I do these things where I do, why we do them in Banff. If you are interested in this, if you go to automateyourgrowth.com and / leadership retreat, there's a page with information, registration information. Know that we have a kind of a lower early bird rate of sorts for you to join us here if you decide to join us in the next, I think it's the next week or so actually, that we have that available. And then of course the price will be going up a little bit more after that. But the intent, my intent for you within this retreat is to really be able to acknowledge and embrace the leader that you are. And then to be able to take that and see where and how you apply it to your business, what it's going to mean for how you work with clients and what you deliver and your revenue streams and all of that, what it means for you to work with your team, what it means for you to step out in a bigger way. How do you take and use this information? What is that going to look like for you? What is that going to look like for you? So again, automateyourgrowth.com / leadership retreat is the page with the information there. And you know, we'll get you emails and such afterwards. If you do have any questions or anything, we'll let you know. By all means, we can connect about that too. And here's the thing, you know, we can't, of course, guarantee anything per se. I don't believe in guarantees. I believe in responsibility. And I am very responsible and very committed. And I can say the same for everybody. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. It ain't just me that's going to be speaking and leading at this retreat. A good friend of mine, Bobby Robertson, is going to be speaking and teaching on CEO mindset and how people think differently at higher levels of leadership. She's a very successful multi-million-dollar business owner, right? And I can guarantee that she's thinking differently than you are right now. It's fascinating stuff. You know, our very own Tiffany Johnson, who is, as we like to call her these days, our VP of everything, but has played a key part in my business for years now and run my company for years now, 4 years, just over 4 years now. Tiffany is going to be talking about leading your team, and that is amazing stuff. Seriously, will knock your socks off. My friend Andrea Lee is going to be joining us and speaking on a surprise topic, if you will. Actually, we're playing around with a couple of things for her to speak on, so we'll see what she lands on there. And another friend of mine who's also my coach, one of my coaches, Graham White, is going to be joining us to speak there too. And Graham he's got a really great message that you can find shared through Facebook at a webpage called What Evolved Women Want. And it's fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. So it's going to be a gathering of the minds, if you will, for a number of people who I know and love and adore, and I know they're amazing. And all of us, our intent is just, we want to give you whatever it is you need to walk away and embrace your next level of leadership. We'll shake you up if we need to. We will. You know, we're not going to let you walk out that door feeling like, whatever. That does not work for me. That does not work for me. And I want to, and you know, on that note too, I want to take you into the next level of the next area that I want to talk about in leading, and that is leading your clients. This is something that I think is such a big deal for our industry, you know, and when I say our industry, I'm speaking about the idea of like the coach, speaker, author, trainer world and or the virtual support world, you know, but really this can apply across the board regardless of what type of business you have. I believe that there is a serious deficit of entrepreneurs being willing to actually lead their clients. And this annoys me. Quite honestly, it's a big part of what drives me right now. And it was one of these things where I'm like, I was playing it, you know, I've seen this, I've seen and heard comments and you know, frustrations and conversations and such going on around there, and it really just clicked for me. It was probably about a month ago where I'm like, wait a minute, this is leadership. The reason these issues are happening is because the entrepreneur, the person who is bringing whatever to the table, is not actually leading their client. Now, how do you know if you're being an effective leader? This is a fascinating question. It's easy to say that leadership is a numbers game. It's easy to say that leadership is how many followers do you have on Facebook? How many people are coming to your events? How many people are this, or that? Right? That's a numbers game. That's kind of like a popularity contest. You know, look how many people I have gathered around me. That's a old school view of leadership. It's an old school view of leadership. Nor is leadership really about making people feel good. Now, this is a dangerous trap of sorts that I think happens for some in some scenarios out there where, you know, you can be plugged in with somebody and there can be, it's great and it's fun and woohoo, it was awesome, I felt great, and then walking away and going, okay, what now? Now, here's the thing. This is how you measure leadership. Is it actually affecting change? Is your leadership, meaning your company, your products, your services, whatever it is you bring to the table, and whatever it is you set for that vision that you committed to in the first part that we talked about, is that actually affecting change? Are your clients actually getting results? And if they're not, what is your response to that? What is your response to that? I have to tell you guys, I watched a video the other day that about made me want to barf in my mouth. I mean, honestly, for lack of a better phrase. And it was interesting. This was from somebody who, you know, I'm on this person's list and I've been following their list for a while and happen to, you know, have a certain level of kind of respect. Not somebody I know personally, but just kind of paying attention to what they're doing and what they're up to and, oh, hey, that looks pretty cool. And I watched this video the other day. And this was in relation to the coaching industry in particular. And this person said, and I've heard this so many times over, this is a part that makes me just so frustrated, is this person said, you know, oh, hey, as a coach, you know, it's not up to you to, it's up to your clients to create results. It's their responsibility. And if they do or they don't, that's their problem, not yours. So I'm paraphrasing. That's not exactly the words that this person used. But see, I've heard that time and time and time again out there. And I believe that there's a business model of sorts. There's a way of doing business in the coaching world that lends itself to that. And I believe that that is just broken. It's an interesting thing to consider. It's not up to you to get results for your clients, right? It's not up to you to get results for your clients. It's, at the end of the day, they have to do their part too, don't get me wrong. But here's the distinction. Here's the piece to consider and realize. You are coming in and leading them in a certain area. You're coming in and leading them with something, right? You want to bring what you have to the table, and yes, they have to meet you with their part. But what if they don't meet you with their part? What if they don't move forward? What if they don't get a result? What if something falls apart? Do you sit there and say, ah, well, I did my piece. See you later on your own? Or do you ask yourself the question, all right, what can we try different here? What didn't work out here? Why is this person or these people or whatever it is not getting results? What do I need to shift and change? Now, this is where that responsibility piece comes into play that we talked about earlier. And this is a big deal when it comes to working with your clients. And this is a tough pill to swallow sometimes, right? Because it requires us as leaders to take a look at ourselves and say, where did I maybe not do as good a job as I could have? That's never fun to think about or admit. I don't know about you, but I like being right. And I am not always right. I will admit it. I'm not always right. But but the thing is, it's not, oh, that didn't work out, too bad, I gave you your thing, bye, see you later, that's your fault, not mine. That is not leadership. That's a cop-out, right? I think, and now I want to be very clear here too when I talk about this. This is not about bending over backwards. It's not about, there's two extremes here, right? If we think about a pendulum, it's on one extreme is saying it's up to you, I did my part, I gave you my thing, whatever. If you didn't do anything, too bad, see you later. Right? The other extreme, the other way the pendulum swings is from that place of, oh my gosh, I gotta like drag them to their success, or I'm gonna bend over backwards, or I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pour everything into that. That's no boundaries. That's not healthy either. There's a middle ground to aim for in the way you connect with and the way that you serve your clients. This can be fascinating stuff to consider and explore, right? But this middle ground is, what is my responsibility to this person? And how can I connect with them? How can I work with them to ensure that they get the result that I promised in the first place? That they can get the result based on what they paid me for. That they can come to that space. And that's very much a matter of how much can you step in and lead, how much can you give in that space. Likewise, it's up to them to do their part, but it's also up to us to reach out and extend a hand if need be. To be able to say, hey, let's hit the reset button, or hey, that didn't work as well. What can we look at next? Or hey, how can we do this a little bit differently? And that can, of course, if you run into situations where your clients are not getting the results that they need, there's really a few areas to look at, right? I mean, sometimes it can be a you issue. And what I mean by that is that maybe you are trying to do things that are not in your lane. The first piece of knowing who you are and knowing what you get, what your brilliance is and what you bring to the table and everything, right? That's when you're clear on that and you commit to that, you're really saying, this is my lane. I'm going to stay in this lane. This is where I'm going to play. Now here's where I've not served at the best level possible in the past. That's when I've been like, all right, here's a lane, but maybe I'll try this lane, maybe I'll try that lane. Oh, this person came and asked me for that. Oh, sure, that might be fun. Let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. Right? Whenever I strayed from my lane, those are the places where I did not do my best work. Those are the times where I did not serve my clients in the best way possible. Those are the times where, quite honestly, things blew up around us. Now, yes, I work to fix them, so I've never left, well, not in my recollection have I left anybody high and dry. But at the same time, I'll tell you, that was not fun scenarios when that happened. So part of this could be from, are you trying to play in a place that's not in your lane? If you're trying to play somewhere that's not your brilliance, you're not going to be able to serve people at the highest level possible. You might be good at it, but is it your brilliance? Very important to know and understand. It could be a business model issue. Sometimes what you're doing and what you want to bring to the table and how you want to serve clients is not, maybe it's the business model, the structure of the program or whatever it is that you're offering that's not working. If you are working with clients from a place where they need one-on-one direct support from you, and yet you're trying to offer them a group program. If you're working with clients from a place where they need somebody to come in and do something for them, they want to hire somebody to come on their team and do a project or work ongoing, whatever it is, they need a doer, but you're like going to train them how to do it themselves. That's a business model disconnect, right? Those things are all very fixable. But sometimes that's what's going on. Or sometimes it's a delivery issue. And I really believe the heart of the delivery issue is, are you willing to step in with your clients? And are you willing to risk their success along with your own? That's a scary question sometimes, right? It's a scary question, and it's a middle ground. This is not a black and white. This is not, I am 100% responsible for their success, and that's it, because you can't be. They have to do their part. Nor is it, all right, gave you this, you didn't do your thing, whatever, see you later, your problem, not mine. It's being willing to kind of walk in that middle ground and to be in that space of let's do this together. That collaborative nature that we as women bring to the table so much more and so much more powerfully than other people do. Or not even other people. I mean, again, men can bring this to the table too. This is like about an energy and approach as opposed to a gender. But there's that collaborative approach. Like, let's do this together. Let's figure it out. Ooh, this didn't work out? Okay. Maybe we need to try something different. Let's try it this way instead. You connected with me because you were looking for X, and I agreed to promise you X. We haven't hit X yet. Let's take a look at Y. Being willing to go there. And also, too, your clients are desperate for you to literally just take them by the hand and lead the way. You know, there's another... Any of you in the coaching industry could probably relate to this, right? I took my coach training originally, like, gosh, 15 years ago now, I guess. I did my coach training through Coach U back in the day, as I like to say. I think it was in 2000. And at that point in time, I don't know if this is how coaching is still taught or not, but at that point in time, coaching was very much taught from the place of it's up to the client. The client always has the answers. You are just there to ask the questions. That's how coaching is taught. Like from a pure form, that's what coaching is, right? From a purest form. I believe there are times and places where that's very important as an approach, but I actually believe that, for those of you who are coaches, for example, but think of this, how this might apply to your business, regardless of what kind of business you have. Your clients want you to lead the way. They don't want to like hop on a call with you and say, okay, so tell me what's up today, Susie. Well, I don't know. I'm not really sure. What do I do next? I'm not really, like, it's like, no, okay, Susie, where are you at? Did you accomplish X? Okay, great. Now here's the next piece we're going to need to look at. Here's what's next for you. Let me take you by the hand and lead the way. Let me take you by the hand and give you what I have to give you, right? Let me be able to do that for you. Now, there's an area where I believe that sometimes we need to improve there, right? We need to really be able to embrace and say, am I willing to lead this client? Or am I just going to let them ask the questions and let them lead the way? So fascinating food for thought, in a sense, too. And when you think about it, leadership really kicks in after the sale. It's one thing to go out and get a sale. Again, this ties into this idea of what's the definition of leadership, or how do you know if you're being an effective leader? Well, woohoo, look at all these sales, look at all these people who came to my event, or look at all these people who bought this thing, or whatever it is, right? That's good marketing, good sales, and leadership absolutely can fit into that too. Don't get me wrong. But what happened after they purchased? When I think about our Banff retreat, for example, I mean, that's very purposely a small retreat. Like we have room for up to 40, but honestly, I don't even know if we'll have 40. If we'll allow that, we may want to keep it a little bit more intimate. It's not a great big kahuna thing, very purposely so. And that comes from the place of the energy we want to create in that room. It also comes from the place of I would rather have a deeper impact with fewer in that moment, as opposed to trying to like fill the room. Look at all these people and woohoo kind of thing, and maybe having a diluted impact. Not that you can't have a bigger impact in a bigger room, but there's a difference. There's a difference there. Who are you? How much of an impact? How much results? How much of an effect are you actually having on your clients? So interesting to consider. So interesting to consider. And yes, it could be a scary thing. It can be. Sometimes you may consider that and go, oh my gosh, you know what? I don't know that I'm actually doing that well with my clients. Eek. Or I thought we would get X, but we're not getting X, and I'm kind of scared to like admit it, or I'm scared to take a look at it, or whatever that is. One of the things I love that I'm going to ask Andrea to speak about at the retreat, Andrea Lee, is the idea of how do you prove your business model? How do you get proof that your stuff works? There is a lack, sometimes if you're sitting there feeling, I don't know if this works or not. I haven't seen the proof. In order for you to truly stand in a place of leadership and really, really serve people, and really, I should say actually be able to expand the way you serve people and have a bigger and bigger impact with more people along the way. That will come from proving the impact that you can have right here, right now, which may be with fewer people. But once you prove that with fewer people, and you know what works, the model that works, the vibe, the approach, the etc., everything that works, then you can really expand on that. Things fall apart if you try to grow too fast with something that's not actually proven. And Andrea has an amazing way to teach this stuff. I tell you, when I first heard her teach that, it was about a year or so ago. It was like, I was like rubbing my hands together. Ooh, love that. So important. So important. So last but not least, and I know timing-wise, I have no idea where we're at timing-wise, because I think we might even be close to the hour mark, but I'll keep on chugging, and if you're able to stay, that's awesome. I also want to talk about the third piece, though. And the third piece of leadership as it applies to your business is leading your team. And all of us, you should be asking yourself this question. I hear this as a complaint. You know, I hear people ask the question as a complaint or a frustration, and this is a question that everyone should be asking in regards to their team. Now, I don't care if you have one part-time VA right now or 10 or 15 people working with you or more, right? This is not about the numbers of people that you have working with you. It's asking the question, how can I get what I want and need from my team? How can I get what I want and need from the people on my team? How can I get what my business needs? How can I get my team to do things, to get things done in the way that I want and need them done? Now, I will tell you a very simple, it's not even a secret, because honestly it's pretty obvious in a lot of ways once you get this. You need to give them what they want first. When it comes to your team, and it comes to having a team that supports you at the highest level possible, they will only be able to do that when you are giving them what they want first. And so I ask you based on that, do you know what it is that your team wants? Do you know why they are doing what they're doing? There's a misconception out there too that management is the answer versus leadership. A lot of you are actually trying to manage your team and you're not actually leading them at all. So just to make the distinction here, because both of them are very, very important. This is not one for the other. It's really important to have both of these aspects in place. Management is about the what. Management is about the decisions. Management is saying, here's what we're creating. Here's the vision. You know, here's the goals. Here's the tasks. You know, here's the processes. Here's the deadlines. It's all about the what. Here's what we're creating and why and how, like all of that kind of stuff. That's what management is. Management is about laying that out. Now, it's pretty easy to lay that out there and say, here's what's going on. We're going to do a launch. Great. That's a what. There's a goal. There's tasks. There's things associated with that need to get done. Great. But in order to make those things happen, you have to lead the people who are going to do the work. So leadership is about the who. Leadership is about the people. Now, I have had for years, for my own business as well as on behalf of other clients and such and people I worked with over the years, I have a team who is very committed to the business, who's very committed to me. And this is one of these areas where when I was thinking about leadership, and I think it was actually through conversations that Tiffany and I were having a while back, I remember Tiffany saying to me, you're really good at this piece. Like, you are a great leader. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? I don't get that. In that moment, I didn't understand that at all. And when we were talking in regards to team, because here's the thing, I have a team that does amazing work for the business, amazing work for our clients, right? I have a team where when our technology isn't working, they don't say, oh, see you later, I wasn't there, or I don't know what to do. They go, oh my gosh, let me figure that out. I tell you, in the past couple of days, Tiffany's had her technical skills challenge, right? You know, our team has been very challenged actually in the past few days. But the thing is, it's like, why do I have a team that's very committed to me? Because I know what they want. I know why they're here. I know who they are. Likewise, Tiffany, on behalf of my business, and Tiffany being one of the key people that leads our team at large, she knows and does the exact same things. This is why she's going to teach this piece at our leadership retreat. Because I'm telling you, like, she knows and understands this at a high level. But really, if you're not getting what you want from your team right now, or you're struggling with, like, I asked them to do this and they said they would, but they're not, or it's just not happening, or I'm really clear on the what and the tasks and everything are there, but it's just not happening, right? It's falling apart. I want you to ask yourself the question, do you know that person and what they want and why they're here? Why they're there with you? Why is it that they're working with you? You need to be able to connect what they want to the vision of your company. The best team you can create is one where you can connect what they want for themselves, for their own business, for their own livelihood, for their own lives, and to connect that to the vision of your company. When you have that kind of team, magic happens. Not to mention you get to have a whole heck of a lot of fun. I mean, honestly, that's what this is about. Now, do you know what these people want? It's literally a matter of asking the question, and this can be part of an initial hiring process and all of that too. It's really like, so tell me about you and your business. What do you want? What are your long-term goals? And this is where I would say for many years I was like a, what do you call that, unconscious leader in this way, because I just naturally did all this stuff, but I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, hey, I'm being a leader right now. But looking back on it, that's exactly what I was doing with my team, and I always have done. It's like, tell me about you. Like, what is it you want to create for your business? What's fun and exciting for you? How can we work together in a way that allows you to do more of what you want, to try things that you haven't tried before, to be who you maybe never thought you could be? How can we work together in a way that allows you, one of these things, I'll tell you one thing that we did, and that I think is just so powerful, but this is exactly what I believe in for my team and on behalf of the business that we want to create. Our VA, Ashley, she's a contractor. She's not an employee, right? Everybody on my team is a contractor. They are an entrepreneur, a business owner in and of their own right. Freelancer, whatever phrase you want to use. That's who my team is. I don't have employees at all at this stage in the game. And Ashley just had a baby. Yay! What is it, like a week ago now? I think it was a week-ish ago now, actually. But one of the things, when I found out Ashley was pregnant, the first thing I said to her was, listen, you're going to take the month off, and I will pay you for that month what I would pay you normally, so that you can spend that month with your baby. She's not an employee. There's no, like, official benefits or whatever you want to call it in the way that we're working together. But because I believe that that's important, I want that for her. I doubt she ever would have asked for it, quite honestly. But that, there's a connection there. It's like connecting what is so great and powerful for an experience for her in this moment, having a brand new baby, with that connects with the vision of my company. I want people to be in a space where they can take that time that they need for their families and themselves, where we can take time off and enjoy ourselves otherwise. We very purposely build the business from that place overall. And that's because I know these people, and I care about these people. I mean, honestly, when it comes to your team, you don't have to be best friends. In some cases, it may be a good idea not to be too close to them, because sometimes that can get in the way as well. But you have to actually care about them. You have to get to know them. You have to get to know what they want and where they're headed. And you want to make sure that at every step of the way, where the vision of the company is, matches what they want, the vision for themselves. If it ever changes that that's no longer true, then even if you've done the greatest work together up to that point, maybe you part ways at that stage if you have to. Now, here's a flip side of this, though. If you have people on your team where you don't know what they want, or maybe they don't even know what they want, or they're just there for the money, and they kind of don't care about the vision and all that other kind of stuff, chances are you're going to have issues there. Not to say that you can't maybe work together in some fashion, but they're probably not going to be the people who are like there. They're not going to be the people who are there when your site goes down. They're not going to be the people who are so committed from that perspective overall. So we are, I know, over the 1 hour mark at this stage, and I really want to acknowledge that and honor that. This is, and of course, for those of you who stuck with us and joined us and everything here today with all our tech craziness, love, love, love that you were able to join us and stick around for this. There's a parting thought I want to leave with you here with this too, and it was funny when I was thinking about this earlier today and kind of this idea of leadership and what it means. And like we started this conversation today from a place of how can you step up and be a better leader right now? And I'm talking about not the best leader. Again, this is not about competition. This is not about comparison. This is not about, oh, look at what that person's doing, or this person, or I'm not there yet, or whatever it is. I don't care about that stuff. I don't care about that stuff. Ditch that stuff. Based on what we talked about here today, and based on these 3 key areas of the business, you, knowing your brilliance, your vision, what do you want, where are you headed, what is that going to be? Looking at your clients, where and how can I serve these clients at the highest level possible? Looking at your team, what do I need to do to get to know and to connect the vision of what they want for themselves and what I want? Really looking at those 3 key areas of business. I ask you to consider, and I ask you to, and if you're willing to share, of course, whether it's here in the chat or if it's after the fact through Facebook or otherwise, what is it that you want to work on? Sometimes this is personal, though, too, so believe me, I'm not requiring you to share this. Sometimes it's a personal thing to consider. What is it you want to work on to take your leadership to the next level? What is that piece going to look like? Now, absolutely, if you choose to join us in Banff, we'll get to work on that together. We'll get to work on that together, and it would be my honor to do so. I would absolutely love to do that with you. But regardless of how you work on it, regardless of what that looks like for you, because leadership does not have an end. There's no end to always expanding and becoming a better leader in different ways. Every time you grow, every time your business grows, every time things evolve and change, the world that we live in today is so different from what it was, and things change at such a high pace, a fast pace. Things that used to work a year or two ago for business owners are not working at all anymore. I mean, we have to be able to continue to adapt and grow and change who we are as leaders as well at every single stage of that. We have to be able to do that. And I really want to leave you with this thought, too, that it does not have to be lonely at the top. It does not have to be lonely at the top. Now, being a leader is a solitary activity in and of itself, because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's up to you. And it's owning the fact that it's up to you. And it's owning the fact that you get to decide yay or nay in all these stages of leadership. That's totally up to you. And it does not have to be lonely. You want to look for ways to connect. You want to look for ways to collaborate. You want to look for ways to create. And I know from experience that when I'm purposeful in that way, even when it sucks at times, even when it's really hard, even when I'm almost ready to throw in the towel, even when I'm asking what I got myself into and why I'm doing this, even when I'm ready to like shut it down and see you later, when I know that I'm connected to other women leaders around me who are on the same journey and who are willing to take those risks and step forward and be who they are, that's what keeps me going at the end of the day. And honestly, there's no other way I'd rather do it. There's no other way. So, all right, everyone, we'll wrap it up here now. Big, big hugs. Big hugs, and I just, this feels like the start of a conversation, so I'm sure, and I hope, of course, we continue to be connected in various ways over time. And we'll connect with you after the fact, email and otherwise. If you have questions, comments, various things you want to bring to the table, that's wonderful. Love it. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. Bye now.